I'm Tessa Gonzalez, and I never thought I'd be telling a story like this. A few months ago, I was 34, living a quiet life in a cedar-shingled house on the outskirts of Seattle, married to my college sweetheart, Tom. We were the couple everyone envied: weekend hikes in the Cascades, late-night pizza runs, planning a future with kids we hadn't yet had. Then, one rainy morning, a phone call shattered it all. Tom's motorcycle had skidded off the I-5, hit a guardrail, and he was gone. Just like that, I was a widow, picking out an urn because the crash left nothing for a casket. The first weeks were a fog. I'd wake up, reach for Tom, and remember he wasn't there. My chest ached like someone had carved out half my heart. I couldn't have gotten through it without my parents, who live in a cozy split level in Tacoma. Growing up, they'd always put my younger sister, Claire, on a pedestal. Her dance recitals got standing ovations while my straight A's got a pat on the head. But after Tom died, they stepped up. "Tessa, we've got the funeral covered," my mom said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. "You just breathe, okay?" They handled the calls, the flowers, everything. I started sending them $2,000 a month to help with their bills. Tom had left me more than enough, and it felt right. Work kept me sane, barely. I'm a marketing lead at a tech startup in downtown Seattle, and the bustle of campaign deadlines gave me something to grip onto. Quitting crossed my mind. Tom's estate included our house, a slick condo in Belltown, and a bank account that could have let me walk away forever. But sitting alone in that house, surrounded by Tom's hiking boots and half-read sci-fi novels, scared me more than any deadline. So I went part-time, enough to keep my head above water. Every Thursday night, I dragged myself to a grief support group in a community center near Lake Washington. The room smelled like stale coffee, but the people there got it. Some days, I forget he's gone. I whispered one night, my voice cracking. Just for a second, I think he's in the next room. A woman named Ellen, who'd lost her partner to cancer, squeezed my hand. "That's grief, Tessa. It sneaks up like a wave." Those meetings became my lifeline, a place where I didn't have to pretend I was okay. For the first time in my life, I felt close to my parents. Growing up in our small Oregon town, I was the responsible one, the kid who studied while Claire twirled in sparkly costumes. She was the star, homecoming queen, Instagram influencer wannabe, always chasing some big dream that fizzled out. Her Etsy shop selling custom mugs lasted a month. Her content creator phase ended when she got bored. Meanwhile, I was the one who moved to Seattle, got a degree, landed a solid job, and married Tom. But my parents barely noticed me back then. After Tom's death, though, something shifted. Our weekly dinners at their Tacoma house became sacred. Mom would make her signature meatloaf. Dad would crack open a bottle of local Merlot, and we'd talk, really talk. "Tell me about that new ad campaign, Tessa," Dad said one night, his eyes actually on me instead of his phone. I'd light up, explaining how my team's pitch might land us a big client. For once, I wasn't invisible. Then Claire came back. One evening, she swept into Mom and Dad's dining room, 8 months pregnant and glowing like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She'd been living in a cramped apartment in Olympia, scraping by after her latest flop, a wellness blog that never took off. I hadn't seen her since Tom's funeral, where she'd barely spoken to me. "Claire, honey, sit here," Mom said, nudging me aside to clear a spot. Just like that, I was 12 again, fading into the wallpaper while Claire soaked up the spotlight. "Are your ankles swollen? Need a cushion?" Mom fussed, her hands all over Claire's belly. I swallowed the old hurt, trying to focus on my mashed potatoes. "So, who's the dad?" I asked, forcing a smile, hoping to join the conversation. Claire's fork froze midair, her eyes narrowing. "That's my business," she snapped, her tone sharp enough to cut glass. Mom jumped in, quick as ever. "Tessa, don't pry. Claire doesn't owe anyone answers." I bit my lip, remembering how they'd grilled me during my fertility treatments with Tom, endless questions about doctors, timelines, my failure to conceive. But Claire's privacy? Sacred. Untouchable. I tried again at the next dinner, softer this time. "Raising a kid alone's tough, Claire. How are you managing?" She smirked, that old confident grin I knew too well. Don't worry about us. My baby and I are set. Dad beamed like she'd just won a Nobel Prize. That's my girl. Always lands on her feet. I stared at my plate, the meatloaf suddenly tasting like dust. Some things never change. A week later, my phone buzzed with Claire's name, a rarity. Tessa, I'm having my baby shower at Mom and Dad's, she said, her voice syrupy, like she was selling me something. You're my only sister. It wouldn't be right without you. I was stunned. Claire hadn't invited me to anything since her high school graduation. You sure? I asked, skeptical. Of course, she laughed, but it sounded forced, like a bad actress. Something in my gut twisted, but I ignored it, hoping this was her way of bridging the gap between us. That Sunday, I pulled up to my parents' house with 2 gifts, a high-tech baby monitor and a quilt I'd spent nights stitching, each square a memory of my own dreams of motherhood. The place was a pastel explosion, pink and blue balloons, streamers dangling like confetti, a diaper cake towering in the living room. Half of Tacoma seemed to be there, Aunt Linda, Mom's book club friends, Claire's old sorority sisters giggling over punch. Claire floated through the crowd in a flowing dress that screamed money, her smile bright but sharp, like she was hiding something. Her eyes kept finding mine, lingering too long, and my stomach churned. We played the usual baby shower games, guessing belly size with yarn, picking due dates, laughing over diapers stuffed with melted candy bars. I won the belly measuring game, and Claire's smile tightened, her eyes flashing with something I couldn't read. When gift time came, she gushed over every onesie, every rattle, milking the attention. Then she held up my quilt, her fingers tracing the stitches. The room quieted as she tapped her glass, her voice cutting through the chatter. I need to say something, she said, one hand on her belly, her eyes locked on me. My heart started pounding, and I didn't know why. It's time everyone knew who the father of my baby is. The air felt heavy, like a storm about to break. She paused, her gaze never leaving mine. It's Tom Reynolds, Tessa's husband. The room gasped, a collective inhale that sucked the oxygen out. My vision blurred, the balloons and streamers spinning like a bad dream. Since this is Tom's only child, Claire continued, her voice loud and proud, my baby deserves half of everything he left behind. The house, the condo, the money, everything. Whispers erupted. Aunt Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Claire's friends leaned in, murmuring. But what hit hardest was my parents, standing beside her, their faces calm. They weren't shocked. They knew. I gripped a chair to keep from collapsing. You're lying, I rasped, my voice barely audible. Claire's smile turned cold as she held up her phone, flashing a photo of her and Tom, kissing in a dimly lit hotel bar. Another showed them laughing at a diner I didn't recognize. He loved me, she said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. He was going to leave you. We were going to tell everyone, but then the accident happened. My mom stepped forward, her hand on Claire's shoulder. Tessa, you need to do what's right for your nephew, she said, like I was the one being unreasonable. Dad nodded. This is family, Tessa. I couldn't breathe. I grabbed my purse, pushed through the crowd, and stumbled to my car. Mom called after me, but I was already peeling out of the driveway. At home, my phone lit up with Claire's messages, screenshots of texts from Tom. I don't love her anymore, one read. You're the one I want. We'll start over after the divorce. Each word was a knife, slicing through the life I thought I'd had. The dates showed they'd been talking for months, while I was crying over failed fertility treatments, blaming myself for our childless marriage. The next morning, my parents called. Be reasonable, Tessa, Dad said, his voice all business. Give Claire her share, and this stays easy. Mom chimed in. We don't want this to get messy, honey. I was shaking. When did you know? Silence. Then Mom admitted, about 6 months before the accident. 6 months. They'd known while I sobbed at Tom's funeral, while I sent them money, while they ate my meatloaf and pretended to care. Traitors, I spat, hanging up and blocking their numbers. I opened my banking app and canceled the monthly transfers. If they wanted cash, they could ask Claire. Work became a minefield. Coworkers whispered, some with pity, others with smirks. I broke down during a pitch meeting, tears spilling as I fumbled my slides. My boss, Greg, a rare friend, pulled me aside. Take time off, Tessa. Paid, unpaid, whatever you need. Your job's safe. I nodded, grateful, and left that day. Weeks blurred together, groceries delivered, doorbell ignored, hours spent staring at old photos of Tom, searching for lies in his smile. Then I saw it on Facebook. Claire, beaming in a hospital bed, holding a baby boy wrapped in my quilt. My parents stood beside her, proud as ever. The caption read, "Welcome, Thomas Jr." My stomach lurched. She'd named him after Tom, but a week later, a court notice arrived. Claire was suing for half of Tom's estate, claiming her son was his heir. I hired Mark Sullivan, a Seattle lawyer with a knack for untangling inheritance messes. "She's got texts, photos, even your parents' testimony," Mark said, his voice steady but grim. Courts often side with a child in these cases. I was reeling when my phone rang that night. "Is this Tessa Gonzalez?" a woman asked, her voice vaguely familiar. "I'm Diane, Tom's mother." My knees buckled. Tom had told me he was an orphan, raised in foster care. Another lie. "Can we meet?" she asked. "There's something you need to know." I met Diane at a quiet cafe in Capitol Hill, my hands shaking around an untouched latte. She walked in, and I nearly dropped my cup. She had Tom's green eyes, his easy smile. "I was at the funeral," she said, settling into the booth. "In the back, veiled. I couldn't face you then." She explained how Tom cut her off years ago after a fight over his reckless choices, partying, gambling, lies. She slid a worn envelope across the table. "This might help." Inside were medical records from a Portland hospital, dated a year before Tom and I married. The words hit like a freight train. Complete azoospermia. Permanently sterile. Tom had known he couldn't have kids, yet he let me endure years of fertility treatments, let me blame myself. Court day arrived, the room packed with Claire's allies. She sat in a simple black dress, cradling Thomas Jr., playing the grieving mother. My parents flanked her, their faces smug. Claire took the stand, tears glistening as she spun a tale of love and loss with Tom. Mark waited, calm as stone, then presented the medical records. "Your Honor, these prove Tom was sterile. We request a DNA test." Claire's lawyer objected, claiming the documents were fake, but Claire's composure cracked. "Those are lies," she shouted, clutching her son. Mark turned to the gallery. "I'd like to call Diane, Tom's mother." Gasps rippled through the courtroom as Diane stood, her presence a bombshell. "I'll take a DNA test to confirm if this child is my grandson," she said, her voice steady. Claire paled, swaying in her seat. The judge ordered the test, and weeks later, we reconvened. The results were clear. No genetic link to Diane. Tom wasn't the father. Claire broke down, sobbing. "I was seeing other men," she admitted, her voice barely audible. "When Tom died, I thought no one would know. He had money, and I needed it." The judge's voice was ice. "You tried to defraud your sister, using your parents to back your lie." She ruled in my favor, dismissing Claire's claims for good. Outside, my parents approached, Mom in tears, Dad looking broken. "We didn't know she lied, Tessa," Mom pleaded. "We're struggling without your money." I blocked their numbers right there, my hands steady. Diane waited by my car. "You okay?" she asked. I laughed, surprising myself. "I think I will be." I offered her the Belltown condo. Too many ghosts for me. She tried to refuse, but I insisted. "You gave me my life back, Diane. Let me give you this." A week later, she hugged me as I handed her the keys, whispering, "I never thought I'd have a daughter." That was months ago. My old family still tries to reach me through cousins and friends, but I'm done. Claire sent a letter, claiming she's changed, begging for help. I tossed it unopened. Now I have Sunday brunches with Diane at a diner near Puget Sound, swapping stories about Tom, the good, the bad, the truth. She's helped me see that my love for him wasn't wasted, just complicated. I'm back at work full-time, leading campaigns that make me proud. I joined a hiking club, trekking trails I once walked with Tom, reclaiming them as mine. I'm planning a solo trip to the Oregon coast, where I'll watch the waves and let the wind carry away the hurt. Life's funny. I lost the family I was born into, but I found one I never expected. It's not the story I thought I'd live, but it's mine, and I'm writing the next chapter with every step. To everyone who's walked this path with me, thank you. You've seen me through grief, betrayal, and a fight for truth. If my story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join us, where every scar tells a story of strength, heart, and starting over. Keep carving your own path, and I'll meet you at the summit.